Okay. All right. I'm gonna make the introduction with the open mic here, and then I'm gonna switch to the line input. It's gonna be better to hear. All right. Okay. We got the 404 Midi slaved Midi input. We got the MC09 by Roland Midi master JOMOX 09 analog drum machine is also a slave. So couple of things for the 404. It works with a flash card. It has over 6 hours in this case. Over 6 hours. Yes, that's right. Over 6 hours of sampling memory. That's great. The downside is it comes from a flash card. It doesn't come from the internal. It doesn't come from the internal memory. Therefore, there's a slight in the millisecond range, but it's still there. A slight delay when you play samples, when you hit the pads. It is noticeable. You have to hit them a little strong. You have to attack them a little bit harder to compensate for that. Nothing major. However, if you synchronize with other gear, that other gear is right on time, and if you, for instance, layer 2 bass drums, you can tell there's a tiny slight little difference. Sometimes you want that difference, that's great, but if you don't want it, you'll have to be a little bit creative to work around it. Maybe put this one first in the MIDI chain, this maybe the groove sampler, then this one. However, it doesn't have a MIDI out, so you'd have to work kind of creatively with a MIDI splitter and things like that, or you use the you don't use the quantize function. You have a quantization feature here when you record. If you don't use that, of course you can hit the beat a little bit early, a tiny bit early, and it'll be fine. What other workaround would there be for it? You might have other sequencers and other drum machines where you can offset the beat. On this one you can offset the drum by just moving it, nudging it a little bit. You would have to nudge it a little bit to the right in the past tense if you want, and then the bass drum would come in a little later. But this is a very slight groove difference. And for this beat here, I liked it. It's a little more laid back. The bass drum doesn't just rush in that much. So in this case, it's fine. Okay. Normally, I like working with loops. Let me show you what I mean. Right? Work something like this, and it's great. But sometimes you want to combine it with other machines, and I found out when you work this machine with its own loops, it sounds great by itself, but with other electronic musicians together, it starts feeling static, and it starts. I would not always use those loops in that sense, So what we're going to do today, we're just going to use it to give us a bass drum and a snare, and that's it, and it's fine. You don't have to max out every machine. I mean, we could do, Great, sounds great by itself. This comes from GarageBand, by the way. The strings. It's not the real deal, but you can do things like that, great. But then if you use the pattern function, we have like 2 patterns that are built, and then another one, a variation with a little effect on the snare. Okay. The way I came to this bass drum that you're hearing here, this, hold on, give me 1 second. Where did I put it? Great. Those samples, I took them from my hard drive. I had them there as drum samples and dragged them onto the compact flash card. And the import was Breeze. That's really great with this machine. I prefer doing it that way versus sampling it from here. I know it's very, it's very cool to sample through this and then cut it and edit it and maybe have it from your vinyl. But in all reality, it just sounds stronger if you take it directly from your computer or record it inside your computer, edit it there, and then drag and drop it here. The new one, the new SP, has drag and drop with USB already integrated. Okay, we don't have it, but there's a workaround. Okay, enough to talking. I'm just going to show you what I'll be using here. I'll be using you can barely hear it, so I'm going to use a preset sequence here, a little bass rumbling going on. I like building my own sequences here, but just for so that we can do this faster, I am actually using a preset. And on the MC09, if you want to know which preset that is, it's pattern 12 for the bass, and of course you can tweak it. BPM is 109. On the JOMOX, I built a pattern. The pattern that I built is very simple. Here it comes on the bass, on the snare, and then I have an additional bass drum to the one of the 404. Okay. I know it's not very loud, and we're gonna switch over and start the fun. All right, see you in a sec.